Following is a recorded testimony from Stefan Doroieti taken during a private interview at an abandoned property outside of town. The interviewer's questions have been included where relevant. What follows is Stefan's account, told in his own words. You want me to start from the beginning? All right. My name is Stefan Doroieti. I used to tend bar at a little place called the Pickled Onion. 10 years ago, something walked into that bar that shouldn't exist. And ever since that night, I haven't had a single peaceful day. You ask if I'm comfortable doing this interview here. No. But nowhere's safe. So it don't matter. That night was like any other. I was closing up, counting the register. Quiet season. Owner on vacation. No events booked. Just me, a half-drunk boss in the back, and the hum of the old fridge behind the counter. Then I heard footsteps on the stairs. Slow. Calm. Like they owned the place. A man walked in with a woman on his arm, pale. Not sick pale, moonlight pale. The kind of pale that don't belong on living skin. I remember thinking they looked expensive, fancy clothes, calm smiles. I greeted them like I would anyone else. Y'all are my last order. First round's on me. The man asked for a neat whiskey. The woman wanted red wine. Her eyes never left me. I went to the back to grab the bottle. Found my boss leaning against a crate, drunk as usual. We exchanged words. Nothing unusual. I grabbed what I needed and went back out front. And that's when it started feeling wrong. The woman was gone. I asked the man if he'd seen my boss come through. He smiled, said his lady friend had gone to have a little rendezvous with him. There was this sound, wet, like someone stepping through mud. But we were on hardwood. Then he told me something that made my blood go cold. He said he'd knocked out the landline and the Wi-Fi from his phone. Said he killed the security guard downstairs. Said his lady drank him dry. He said it so casually, like he was describing the weather. Before I could react, she came dragging my boss by the neck. One hand, just one. His body looked deflated, like something had emptied him out from the inside. Her mouth was covered in blood. I reached under the bar. I had a shotgun there, old reliable. She looked at me and told me if I even thought about picking it up, she'd drain me before I blinked. I told them to leave. The man started listing things about the bar. About sanitation schedules, about the owner's vacation, about how nobody would miss me. He said I should just show him my neck. That's when my coworker Sandra walked in from the terrace. I didn't think. I just grabbed the gun and fired at the man's jaw. It blew clean off his face. I thought that would be the end. It wasn't. Sandra didn't even have time to scream properly before that woman grabbed her hair and pulled so hard her head nearly separated from her body. I can still hear that sound, like tearing fabric, only wetter. The man picked up his own jaw, reattached it, like snapping a puzzle piece back in place. I shot the woman in the chest, put a hole straight through her. She went down, and then she got back up. You ever see something that your brain just refuses to process? My body locked up. I couldn't move. I wet myself. I ain't ashamed to admit it. She lunged at me. I forgot to cock the gun in my panic and ended up ramming the barrel into her chest. We slammed into a propane tank. It started leaking. We crashed through the kitchen doors. Her body started melting, blood seeping from her skin like it was boiling out of her. She screamed while dissolving into a fanged skeleton at my feet. The man saw it. He didn't scream. He didn't rage. He looked heartbroken. That's when I shot the propane tank. The explosion threw me into the alley. Shrapnel tore into my leg and gut. I remember the heat, the ringing in my ears, then nothing. I woke up in a hospital bed, handcuffed. They said I killed everyone, said the fire was my fault, and he was there, standing beside my bed. No one else in the room reacted to him. It was like he didn't exist to them. He grabbed my throat, told me I'd taken the only fire in his life, told me he'd spend the rest of my days extinguishing mine. Then he vanished, turned to smoke. Then a bat flew out the window. They put me in an asylum after I told the jury that part. Said I had a psychotic break. Said the divorce pushed me over the edge. Said I imagined monsters to justify murder. Maybe that'd be easier. But here's the part you need to understand. After I got out, anyone I got close to died. Friends, neighbors, a woman I smiled at in a coffee shop. Dead. 5 years ago, I isolated myself, came out here. Figured if I stayed alone, no one else would suffer. I tried to starve myself. Tried to end it. Something won't let me. You ask if I think I hallucinated. No. Because he's real, and he's patient. You hear that? Those sirens you think are wind sometimes? He likes sirens. He likes timing things just right. You wanted my testimony. That's it. I killed something that shouldn't have been killed. And in return, something that shouldn't exist decided to keep me alive. His name? He's been called a lot of things. The Count, the Dark One. He told me once to just call him Bram, and before he leaves, every single time, he says the same thing. Donec rursus conveniamus amis. Until we meet again, my friend. So if you're smart, you'll pack up your equipment. You'll leave before the sun dips any lower, because he loves an audience. And I'd hate for you to become part of my testimony. Hi, my name is Vince. I am 13 years old, but I'm going to tell you a few stories from when I was younger. I used to live in Monticello, Utah. We owned 7 acres of woods. I usually didn't want to go into the woods alone, so my dad got me a dog named Jinx. He was a good boy. One time, I was in our video workout room with Jinx. I was playing when I heard a weird whistling sound. I opened the door and saw movement near the shed. As soon as I opened it, Jinx ran out, barking. He went straight into the woods. I called him 5 or 8 times and looked into the woods for about 20 minutes. During those minutes, I heard growling and barking. Then, suddenly, I couldn't hear Jinx anymore. I grabbed a bat and started running. I got halfway there, near the shed, when a 7 or 6 foot tall naked man started running at me. Out of nowhere, Jinx came back, barking and growling at it. The thing ran away when my dad called me inside. I turned off the lights in the workout room and ran into the house. 8 months later, we moved to Minnesota. Jinx was okay, just a few scratches. I never spoke about it to anyone because I thought I had encountered a skinwalker. Here's another encounter. When I was about 6 years old, I went camping with my entire family in Grand Marais. I went on a walk by myself. While I was walking, my cousin suddenly started screaming. I ran back and saw an arrow stuck in the ground just a few inches from his head. I don't know why, but I ran. Maybe it was because of the arrow. As I ran, I tripped and fell into a bush. The bush was as tall as my dad, who is 5'7". I stayed hidden there. I needed to get out because I had to use the bathroom, but then I heard something in front of me. At first, I thought it was my family looking for me, but it was something huge. Its bones were sticking out from its sides. When a kid sees something scary, they scream and run, and that's what I did. I ran back toward the camp. When I got close enough, it stopped and ran back into the woods. In Minnesota, my dad owns a hotel in Big Lake. There is a patch of woods on the left side, and I used to play there a lot with my dog. One time I didn't listen and stayed in the woods until it was dark. I was playing with my old aluminum katana sword when I heard movement coming from the darker, bigger woods. It sounded huge. There were crashing noises, like when you throw pop rocks into an echoing room. That's what it sounded like. I grabbed my things and ran to the sidewalk. When I looked back, my dog was unleashed. When that loud boom happened, he ran, and I followed him. Between the big woods and the small woods, there's a gap. I heard Jinx barking in the bigger woods, so I ran, but then Jinx came out of the smaller woods instead. After I leashed him, I heard something yelling and screaming. When I turned around, I saw something that looked exactly like me, just standing there. I ran. It dropped onto all fours and charged at me. As it moved, it looked like it was flying forward. I finally reached the light near the building and ran inside. After that, I still went into the woods, but never past dark. This started during my second year of college. I was a quiet student. I kept to myself, focused on classes, library hours, and going back to my rented room before dark. I didn't drink. I didn't party. I had no interest in relationships. My goal was simple: finish my studies and leave this place behind. That's when I noticed her. Her name was Eliza. She sat 2 rows behind me in one of my lectures. At first, it was just glances, then small smiles. Then she started waiting outside the classroom. She would ask unnecessary questions, walk beside me, laugh a little too loudly. I was polite, but distant. One afternoon, she finally said it clearly. She told me she liked me. She said she had been watching me for months. She said she felt something strong, something meant to be. I wasn't interested. So I told her the truth. I told her I needed to focus on my studies. I told her I didn't want a relationship with anyone. She was really desperate. She begged me to be with her, but I didn't want to distract myself, so I rejected her. She didn't give up. She kept trying for many days, but the result was the same. She would give me flowers, gifts, ask me out on dates, but I didn't accept anything. One day, she didn't come to college. The next day, when she arrived, she seemed completely different. She didn't look at me. She didn't talk to me. She wasn't clingy anymore. I thought maybe she had finally given up, which was good for both of us. 3 nights later, I woke up at exactly 3:17 a.m. I remember the time clearly because my phone was glowing beside my bed. The room felt heavier, like the air had thickened. I couldn't move my arms or legs. Sleep paralysis, I told myself. Then I smelled something. It was like burnt hair mixed with rotten flowers. From the corner of the room, I heard whispering. Not clear words, just a low, wet murmuring, like several mouths speaking at once. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would tear out of my chest. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. When I finally regained control, the whispering stopped instantly. The smell vanished. The room was normal again. I didn't sleep after that. Over the next week, things escalated quickly. My books started falling off shelves by themselves. I would find strands of long black hair on my pillow, even though I lived alone and kept my room locked. My dreams turned violent. I dreamed of being buried alive, of hands clawing at my chest, of a woman standing at the foot of my bed, smiling with her eyes completely black. I started seeing symbols. They appeared on my notebook covers, scratched lightly as if by fingernails. Circles within circles, crossed lines, shapes I had never seen before, but somehow recognized. When I tried to erase them, they wouldn't come off. They faded only after I burned the paper. My body began to fail. I lost weight rapidly. My appetite vanished. I vomited almost every morning, but nothing came out except bile. Dark bruises appeared on my arms and back, shaped like fingerprints. Doctors found nothing wrong. Blood tests were normal. Scans were normal. At night, the worst things happened. I would hear knocking from inside the walls. Slow, deliberate. 3 knocks. Always 3. Sometimes my name was whispered right against my ear in a voice that wasn't male or female. When I looked in mirrors, my reflection lagged slightly behind my movements, like it was deciding whether to copy me or not. One night, I woke up screaming. I was standing in the middle of my room, barefoot, holding a small cloth doll in my hands. It was stitched crudely with black thread. A lock of my own hair was tied around its neck. I don't remember making it. That was when I realized something was actively trying to kill me. I stopped attending classes. I stopped answering calls. I barely survived on water and crackers. I felt something inside me. Not possession exactly, but influence. Like a presence leaning into my thoughts, filling my head with despair, telling me to give up, telling me to jump, telling me to end it. On a Sunday morning, out of pure desperation, I walked into a church. I wasn't religious. I hadn't been inside a church since childhood, but my legs carried me there on their own. The moment I crossed the threshold, I felt a sharp pain in my chest, like something inside me was burning. I collapsed near the entrance. A priest rushed toward me. He didn't ask my name. He didn't ask what happened. He looked at me and his face went pale. "You have been cursed with black magic," he said quietly. Those words terrified me more than anything else. He took me into a small room behind the altar. The moment he began praying, I started shaking uncontrollably. My teeth clenched so hard they bled. My mouth opened and sounds came out that were not my voice. Deep, guttural sounds layered with something else. The priest stopped. "Who did this to you?" he asked. Without meaning to, the name slipped from my mouth. "Eliza?" The priest nodded slowly, as if he already knew the answer. He told me it was a love-binding ritual, twisted into a death curse. He said the intention behind it was absolute possession. If she couldn't have me alive, she would have me dead. The exorcism lasted hours. I don't remember all of it. I remember holy water burning like acid on my skin. I remember screaming until my throat tore. I remember seeing things crawl out of the shadows, shapes that folded in on themselves, whispering in languages that hurt to hear. At one point, my body arched unnaturally, and I felt something rip away from my chest like a hook being pulled out. Then everything went silent. When I woke up, it was evening. I felt empty, exhausted, but clear. The weight was gone. The whispering was gone. For the first time in weeks, I felt like myself. The priest destroyed the doll, the symbols, everything connected to the ritual. He warned me never to look for her. The next day, Eliza didn't come to class. She never came back. People said she dropped out, some said she moved away, others said no one could reach her. Her phone was disconnected, her apartment was found empty, with all her belongings left behind. I never saw her again. All right, guys, the horror ends here for tonight. There will be more terrifying experiences on this channel, so don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Share it with your horror nerd friends. If you've experienced something paranormal, you can email your story to the address in the description. See you in the next video. Stay safe until then, if you can.